just because of their mental health conditions, which is not fair. That's ill-treating. So as the organization, we are now there to represent the rights of persons with disabilities, trying to protect them from perpetrators or some guys who can violate them, who can violate them through violence. And we can also talk of family planning. Like I said, distribution of services, distribution of SRH services like contraception is not fair. Persons with disabilities are not getting access to contraception information and the products. So as the organization now, as we educate on contraception, we are trying to maintain or to educate persons with disabilities, as well as to impart them with information on how to carry out a proper family planning. For example, you can go into the streets, you can notice that persons with disabilities, just because of that lack of information on carrying out family planning, you can look at child spacing. You can see within 3 years they could have about 3 kids, which means on each year they can have a child. Because they lack information, they are not able to discuss on when and how in their families, or when to have a child or when to have another kid. It's all because of lack of information on contraception. It's all because of lack of information on family planning. So as the organization which focus on disability, we found it crucial to disseminate that information and equip them with that information so that they can be able to carry out proper family planning in their families. Pre and post-pregnancy care is one of our services as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. Like I said, there is no equity on distribution of information. They lack information on how to manage pregnancy. They lack information on how to manage newly born babies. So we are now there to educate persons with disabilities on how to go about all those issues. Then there's issue of safe abortion. In some other countries and in our country, Zimbabwe, abortion it's illegal. It's not allowed. And even biblically, abortion is a crime. Is something that is not allowed. Abortion is an abomination. So as the organization now, we are seeing that children with mental health or persons with disabilities, those who are suffering from mental health, they are being taken advantage of their conditions. They are being sexually abused and are ending up having unplanned pregnancies. So it's unfair for someone to have a child that is as a result of sexual violence. So we encourage persons to take the rightful procedures. For example, in our country, Zimbabwe, we have got some laws which guides us. There is a Problem Dissemination Act. It allows us to take the rightful precautions, the rightful steps, and to approach registered medical doctors so that it can be done in a safer way, which cannot have negative implications to the mother and to the child. So we educate and we ensure that the rightful actions are taken. We educate persons who stay with kids with disabilities, for example, those with mental challenges, so that they could be able to know what steps to take if a person is sexually violated, and what steps to take if that child caught pregnancy, right? So these are some of our SRH services that we provide as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. Now we move on to advocacy services. On advocacy service, we talk of disability rights, awareness raising, thus educating persons with disabilities, not only persons with disabilities, but even the mainstream. Because when we are trying to deal with the disability issues, focus should not only be given on persons with disabilities only, because if you are to take a deeper look into the challenge that persons with disabilities, they are mainly attributed to societal misconceptions. That's the wrong thinking that the society has towards persons with disabilities. So when we are educating, we are not only targeting the persons with disabilities, but we also target the mainstream, which is the main source of the challenge. So as we educate on disability rights, we also educate the mainstream so that they could have a better appreciation of the disability rights, how best to treat someone with disability, right? So we move on to communication behavioral change. the statement itself is self-explanatory. When we say behavioral change, we are trying to reverse the misconception. We are not trying to reverse the behavior that the society has towards persons with disabilities. Like I said, they ill-treat, they discriminate, and against persons with disabilities. So if we educate, we have now resolved these challenges. For example, discrimination against persons with disabilities. We talk of lobbying and negotiations. After carrying out researches, we found out the challenges, the causes of the challenge that persons with disabilities. For example, those regulations that govern disability issues, we now advise the parliamentarians, the lawmakers, on what to do in order to try to avoid the challenge that persons with disabilities face. We talk of alliances with other organizations. For example, here we talk of the alliance between WCA and AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. We have been working with Dr. Shera for quite a long period. We invited her to carry out some projects, some presentations here in Zimbabwe, training persons with persons in Zimbabwe on mental health issues, and those trainings were very successful. People learned a lot, and we have seen they have improved in as far as mental health issues are concerned. As AMOR Zimbabwe Trust now, we believe we can't operate in vacuum. We need the support of WCA, we need the support of many other organizations, so that we can be able in fighting the issues that are related to disability. Disability is not only AMOR Zimbabwe Trust's task, but it's everyone's role to educate and also to address the challenge that persons with disabilities are facing. I'm sure I was going to talk about this, why AMOR Zimbabwe Trust and WCA are in partnership, the benefits that come as a result of partnership. So we keep on encouraging our staff members so that we boost partnership with some other organizations. We talk of community sensitization as part of advocacy services and social mobilization, educating the community on disability rights, how to treat persons with disabilities, etc., etc. Inclusion education campaigns. Persons with disabilities, they are highly discriminated, even at family level. You see, children with disabilities are given access to education. So we are now therefore educating up to the family level so that parents can be able to treat their kids equally, both the disabled and non-disabled kids. They can have access to education. Disability mainstream, letting it known that disability rights are human rights. Everybody in the community should be able to accept it and also to apply it wherever he or she goes, so that persons with disabilities can be respected and treated as human beings. We talk of educational programs and life projects. We do some projects, poultry, training them how to do those projects, and also marketing the products from those projects so that they could be able to sustain their lives. Career guidance. Children with disabilities, they limit themselves to some programs which are inferior. For example, here in Zimbabwe, I have noted that when we approach the universities, persons with disabilities who go towards teaching professions, they think teaching is the only profession that is too suitable for the persons with disabilities. They can't do some other better programs like being a doctor, being a pilot. They think they must only be teachers. It's the only profession that suits persons with disabilities, of which that's not it. So we now educate them, we reverse such misconception. They know that they can be able to do anything that they feel they can in life, and only the sky is the limit, right? So on advocacy, those are some of the services that we have. Research is only about carrying out some research. What is exactly transpiring in the communities, how persons with disabilities are being treated, and what can be done, the challenge that they are facing, and what can be done in order to address the challenge that persons with disabilities. So that's the main purpose for carrying out research or for our research services in AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. And the research, as I said, feeds to SRH, research phase 2 advocacy. Without a proper research, we cannot have a proper SRH, we cannot have a proper advocacy, right? So this is the brief background of AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. I don't know if there is anyone with a question in as far as the background for Zimbabwe Trust is concerned.
You just go on. You just go on, yeah. Just continue.
It's fine, Dr. Sarah. So today we are looking on mental health and disability. Mental health is part of disability because in disability we have got so many categories of disabilities. I think let me start by defining disabilities because some of us maybe may not be aware or may not be having a better appreciation on how to define this term. So when we are talking of disability, we are referring to
Mr. Elvis, I'm not cutting you.
Sorry, Doctor. You want to define?
No, I'm not cutting you. I just want to mention that the time might stop anytime soon. I'll just restart with a new code.
All right, can you assist us, Dr. Sarah, by just giving us a definition for disability?
Oh my God. Disability is an ability to be able to use all the functional and psychological and motor and sensitive abilities.
Here's another definition.
Yes.
You can explain it in another way. Disability refers to any condition that any condition of the body or mind that makes for it with it to do certain activities. For example, myself, I'm partially sighted. Because of my sight challenge, I can't drive during the night. It's a condition that prevents me to drive during the night, all right? So that's how best we can define a disability. So today we want to look on disability and mental health.